CMON. Hey, CMON. They had their own little expo in, I believe, in Atlanta, and they are showing off a bunch of their games exclusively CMON related. They didn't go into other territories.
I have a feeling.
You never know. And
here at CMON, we're showing off Fantasy Flight's new game.
It'd be a weird choice. A few that we're going to highlight that they show off look cool. First one that I'm excited about, that I think a lot of people are excited about, is a game called Modern Art that we've never played, but it's gotten, I've heard tons of positive buzz about it, lots of hype. It's now out of print, but they are putting out a second edition, and this is a game from Rainer Knizia, and it's an art auction game that uses real pictures of real artwork, as several of them do, because that's a nice touch. Modern art.
Why make new art when you can just copy someone else's?
Exactly. And you are all museum curators and you're bidding, and there's actually different types of bids that can occur as the game goes on, as well as the value will change of the artwork as time goes on. It's a bidding auction game, but it has such a great reputation. It's that I'm really excited to finally be able to get the chance to try it out for myself.
And this does fall, because I know you actually were our history major, so those sort of art games tend to draw you in because you actually can talk about them.
They have a little bit of they trigger something in my brain that seems like it's cool, even though it's not. We also got to see, they showed off the Godfather board game, the new Eric Lang, based on the film, The Godfather. Has a subtitle. It's like Corleone's Rising or something.
Yeah.
That sounds awful.
You pretty much control different families and trying to get the most money and control just in case something may happen.
Right. Basically, it's not territory control in the traditional.
It's more. It looked more worker placement to me.
I guess something like that.
From first glance.
But at least in theme, you are the head of a certain region of New York, and you're like trying to be the most powerful in that realm, which is cool. I think because IDW had a Godfather game.
They did, and I'm pretty sure it had an expansion.
Yeah, not too long ago. Why it seems. I'm not sure why The Godfather is coming back. As far as I know, there's no reboot announced or anything like that.
Oh, wait, you didn't hear? They got Dwayne Johnson to play.
I would see that. But I mean, it's cool. It's one of those things that it's nice they have Eric Lang behind it because could easily be a weird kind of cash grab. It's not the first place you would go for a board game adaptation.
No, I mean when we were watching it, it's very weird that Godfather seems like, I mean, I've seen 1 and 2, the big ones, and I'm like, when I'm watching this, I'm thinking like, this could be a board game.
Right. There was a video game that I think I had on the Wii.
I think my same thoughts would still apply.
Yeah, so there's that. Then you also kind of saw they had this little game called Gekaido. That was the one with the...
these big action figures, robots.
Crazy colorful.
Oh, look, what's that TV show that had all the robot fighting?
Transformers?
No, I mean like it's like live... Like it's an actual like
Voltron, BattleBots.
BattleBots, thank you. It looks something like that. You can roll dice. Apparently, you get to, depending on what you roll, you get a bunch of different attacks. And you just have to roll.
It kind of looked to me something similar to King of Tokyo.
Yeah.
It's a similar size board on the lighter side, and like you said, rolling dice. But you can get cards and things to make it so you're not dependent on those dice rolls necessarily. So that seemed cool, at least just based on the minis. And then the last real big one that they talked about that they had a whole panel for actually was their Song of Ice and Fire miniatures game.
Right. We talked about this earlier on the show, or not this show, but earlier.
Early on another show. You didn't miss anything. You're only like 5 minutes in. Don't worry. And
we actually have a special preview show.
Yeah, you didn't see that? They talked about how the starter set is going to have Starks and Lannisters. It's going to be 2 factions, but you also have different faction commanders, and each of those commanders have their own tactics cards. So even just from the core set, even using the same faction, there's a lot of more
different strategies.
Yeah, interchangeability. You can make different things happen in that realm. And they said they have plans for big expansions and small expansions. They talked a little bit about how the combat's going to work, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to see the other houses. Big house, I think.
Yeah, no question.
There's 3? No, 4, I think, if I'm...
I mean, there's a bunch. I guess
and
maybe...
5 if you include the wall. And I'm sure there'll be mercenary type units, the kinds that can go into any group.
They also hinted a little bit at some kind of, maybe campaign-esque features, but at the very least, it's not necessarily always going to just be kill all of your opponent's guys. There will be more complicated goals than that, which is always cool to see.
I mean, it's definitely curious to see, and Game of Thrones is still very hot right now.
It's hot.
And, I mean, I played the card game with Mark, so I know that you can stretch out many of the units, you know.
Right. I'm curious. I wonder how it will do it, if it will be in any way impacted by the fact that it's called A Song of Ice and Fire and not Game of Thrones. Will it be a harder sell, or are we at a point now where most people know what that is?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we start hearing that a bit more in the show, if we're worried more about the show. But I also feel that the board game crowd tend to drift more to books. I feel we like paper.
Especially the miniatures crowd. They're a
so
smart bunch.
I feel calling something a Song of Fire and Ice, like even if you look at the card game, it's still a Game of Thrones. If you see their products for the show, it's Game of Thrones.
Right, right. It is very interesting, all the different branding aspects. And I guess that's because of licensing stuff. I guess CMON doesn't have the show, but they have the book rights.
Right, and it could also just be maybe like they want to make sure that you know this is the show. If you say this, that you mean the show. Though I wouldn't be surprised if, like, let's say, whatever the next season, there's another big battle, like, in the show. I won't say any names because God knows where you are, and I'm sure I'll spoil something. But if, like, right after the episode airs, they put on their site actually like a scenario based on.
That would be cool. They did say that the timeline is it's somewhere. The game takes place somewhere towards the end of season 1, I'd say, or book 1, and from there. It sounds like, at least at the start, they're not putting any kind of restrictions. They said there won't be a time where, like, a character will rotate out because they died and they're in a further.
No, I absolutely don't think you should do that, because I think some of the things they should do is, like, reach back to the Mad King. This can't be spoiled. This is like episode 1.
That's lore.
Yeah, like the Targaryen Mad King.
Right.
Like making him
that would
a unit.
Be cool.
Like, yeah, because that was in essence a large military campaign battle, and I think pulling from those things as well, like the past versions of maybe like the King Baratheon, was that his name?
The season 1 king, yes.
Yeah.
Baratheon.
But like, because, you know, he was much more fit when he was younger in his age, and like he'd probably be a much stronger unit maybe.
Yeah, there's certainly no shortage of lore they could dig through for this game. That's, I think, coming out later this year. But if you go online, there's places or links below in our description. You can find more detailed talks about this stuff. So. It's cool. There sounds like there's a lot of cool stuff coming from them this year. If you enjoyed this video, it was just a snippet of our full-length podcast, which you can find on our YouTube channel every week. So please go ahead, like, and subscribe for more board game-related content coming at you in the future.
And don't forget to check out rollforcrit.com, where we actually sell a lot of the games we talked about, as well as post news and all our other videos. Until then, I'm Will Keeler.
I'm Jonathan Estes, and this is Roll for Crit.